So I'm sitting here working on my very first webinar on Monday, and I'm getting all prepared for it, and I'm so excited. That's happening really quickly. But as I'm working on it, I'm realizing I have to tell my story and like why I'm so invested and passionate and interested and hyper fixated for these past few years on nutrition. By the way, telling your story is really hard. Like talking about yourself is difficult. And like telling why you do the things you do. And I am going to share that story, and I might make a video about it, but it'll definitely be in the webinar. And when I'm trying to think of my story today, I noticed that I went back to the feeling of what it was like for me at this turning point, and the feeling was frustration and overwhelm and just a sense of literally crying about nutrition. And I could feel my nervous system today, even though I'm so far removed from that person, it still reacts to the sensation of being completely blocked in by like all of the things I'd tried and learned, and things that worked for a while and then stopped working, and the ways that I'd lost weight and the things I did to do that and then gained it back, and the times when I felt like I had really great energy and the times that I felt like I didn't. And anyway, when I think about that and like I'm writing my story, it's crazy to me like how easily I can like feel in my body what that was like at that time for me, and just like hitting this point where I was like, I'm tired of people telling me that I just need to eat less and that I just need to work out more, because I was definitely chronically under eating. And if I were to write down all the things that I was doing for working out, you wouldn't believe me. I was literally playing roller derby 3 times a week for 2 hours each time. And after every single practice, I would be a little bit shaky and drenched in sweat. That's 6 hours like that a week. I was doing a squat challenge. I don't know if you've ever heard of Squattober, but I follow them and do that pretty regularly. You squat every single day, heavy, like percentages of your PR, which my PR is almost 300 in a squat. So I'm like lifting really, really heavy, probably the strongest I've ever been. I did like a couch to 5K. And then when I finished with that, I was doing half marathon training. So I'm running like regularly, like 5 miles several times a week. But I was the heaviest I've been in my life. And I was a personal trainer with a basic knowledge of nutrition through that, not a nutrition certification at that time, obviously. But I also was a teacher for 10 years of sciences. So I was like, okay, like I feel like I can figure this out. Like my body's a little experiment. I'm just gonna like test things out and like figure out what I like, what resonates with me, and give it a try. But you waste years doing that, and time and trial and error. And like I felt like I had trialed and errored myself to death, and was just like working harder than, like, there was literally no more that I could do. And I still was not reaching my goals. So anyway, if you're anything like me, you've done the research, you've probably like listened to podcasts, read articles, books, followed really good influencers, watched their videos and content. Maybe you've learned about macros and you figured out, okay, I need to track them. You've tried out lots of different recipes and figured out the whole meal prep thing and all of that. And I've gone down rabbit holes, maybe you have too, on protein and calories and meal timing and supplements and every new nutrition trend that just promises it's going to be the answer to fix things for you. And you believe them, and you're working out and you're trying to eat nutritiously. And we generally know, people like us, what we're supposed to do. And most of us could probably list the exact habits that we think would improve our health and body composition. And we still feel stuck. Like we're still stuck. We're still not getting the results that we want, even though all of those things are true. And that experience is like, it's really common. Like as a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, you wouldn't believe how many people sit in the consultation room with me and I hear my story said back to me. Like I do. I hear you. I've been there. And one of the worst things and the worst feeling that's coming like up on me today as I'm going through this is that I actually believed that I was just not doing enough. And I believed that other people that saw I wasn't maybe like meeting whatever goals or like looking like I worked out as much as I did and was as healthy and fit as I was, because I wasn't able to like lose the excess weight that I was trying to like work off. Maybe they thought I was lazy. And people sometimes have an attitude like, well, you just don't care enough, or you're not doing enough, or maybe you haven't tried hard enough, or, assuming that I would like eat like crazy on the weekends or something. Like there's got to be a reason why. And that like did not feel good because I felt crazy, like gaslit by society or something. And so I would just like abandon the foundations and try something crazy and new and a plan that maybe would even work for a little while and I would see a little bit of progress. But underneath the surface, it felt like with everything I tried, I was literally just like white knuckling it and like forcing. Like I believe I had way more control and probably restriction and had done things that if everything everybody was telling me was going to make me better, I was doing those things. But, eventually that white knuckle grip just kind of gives out. Everything's too hard and too extreme and too restrictive, and you can't hold on to these things forever. Life gets busy. I would miss a workout occasionally, but I was really consistent. Or I would eat something that wasn't like perfectly part of the plan or something like that, and I would feel like I failed. And I would start over again, and sometimes I would start over again with something entirely new. And each time I went through this cycle of like learning more and trying to integrate it, but not being able to stick with it long enough because it was extreme or intense or whatever, I would find that I was like getting chipped away at my confidence, and not necessarily my confidence in my body. It was doing incredible things for me, even at my heaviest. Like I felt really confident in my body. And it was more like a confidence in my own ability to like affect meaningful change in my life and like figure out a solution that would work. And I kind of like lost trust in myself. And I think I lost trust in my body a little bit too. And like, it just doesn't respond like everybody else's. It's just not doing what it's supposed to do, kind of a feeling. And that's horrible. So nutrition started to feel really confusing and frustrating and overwhelming, like more than ever. And so I would try the next solution, the next thing, the next set of rules, the next promise to myself, and the cycle just would repeat again over and over and over. And so I've really kind of looked at like why people stay stuck in this cycle, because I've made my way to the other side. And like now I understand all the little things I was doing that I thought were going to be really helpful and were a healthy mindset and a good way for me to approach nutrition that really weren't. And I didn't know that at the time, because we don't know what we don't know until we've tried it and learned. And so I've learned to stay with foundations, and I stay with them consistently and long enough to actually see results. And I developed a 6-week program that is basically going to kind of take you through the basics and the things that I learned. Like from a teacher's perspective, I went through this like confusing path and navigated away. And like, because I have this innate way of looking at how can other people experience this in an easier way? How can I teach it to them? As I went through that path, I was like kind of looking around and behind me and seeing how can I clear this better for other people. And so from my years of learning and experimenting and succeeding and failing and eventually realizing that the sustainable results come from very simple systems that you practice consistently and not from constantly chasing the next thing. That is kind of like where my mindset is in terms of like helping other people through that like maze of frustration and just disappointment and disconnection from the body that I had gone through. And so anyway, I've taken like 3 key mistakes that I was making that a lot of people that I sit in front of that come to me for personal training or nutrition coaching, there's themes, okay? Like I hear the same stuff and I've said it to myself too, and things that I've done to myself that I thought were going to be helpful that were derailing me from my own progress. So I've taken just 3 of those that kind of align with what I've put into my like 6-week program as well, Soul Food. But I'm going to give those top 3 things and a meaningful, clear solution for each one in the webinar on Monday. And I hope that those of you who can come to it do, and that you, if this resonates with you, that webinar is going to be really helpful for you too, because it's going to help address like the most common mistakes and how I kind of overcame those, and like just easy things that I keep in my mind and practice all the time to continue having success. So thanks for listening. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see some of you on Monday. Bye.